Where are you going, Mr. Bilbo? I am going on an adventure! The Hobbit, an unexpected journey. When I heard that The Hobbit was finally being made, I was pretty excited. Yeah, I'm a geek. Now, The Hobbit's been out for a good while. And you might be wondering why I'm talking about it now. Well, there's a lot of stuff that people have been talking about, discussing, things they liked, things that they didn't like, so I thought I'd give my 2 cents worth. First off, things people didn't really like. In the beginning, a lot of people said it was way too slow, that the first half hour to 40 minutes was just way too long. Now, before I went in to watch The Hobbit, I'd seen a lot of reviews and things from people complaining about this, and I really didn't think that it seemed like it took too long. I mean, it did take a while for stuff to happen, stuff to build up and happen, but while I watched it, I never really thought that nothing was happening, that it was being dragged on. I didn't fall asleep or anything like that. Not every movie is supposed to be immediate action. It's not The Dark Knight where boom, just as soon as it starts, action. You get it. I mean, I was fine with that. Some people may not like that, but really, I mean, have some patience. Radagast the Brown. A lot of people didn't really seem to like him. A lot of people have been saying he's the Jar Jar Binks of Lord of the Rings. Now, before I went and watched it, like I said, I saw a lot of reviews, and I was expecting some terrible character and somebody I really wouldn't like. So I was going in with my expectations were like down here. And then I saw it, I saw his character, and really I didn't mind him. I actually kind of liked him. Now, I know a lot of people are like, what, are you crazy? He wasn't actually written in the Hobbit book. One of my friends told me that he's at least a sentence or two where he's written about in the Lord of the Rings, but the events happen in the Hobbit. So in the timeline, it actually happened in the Hobbit, but he wasn't written about in the Hobbit, if that makes sense. I mean, he's this weird wizard dude, and he goes around, he heals animals with his little magic thing or whatever, and he's got a freaking awesome sleigh with bunnies. What's not to like about that? Now, I know a lot of people are saying it was just too weird, it doesn't seem like Tolkien would write, and yeah, I can kind of give him that. I mean, it doesn't really seem like something Tolkien would write, but with the wolves or the wargs or whatever they were, when they were getting chased and he was leading them on with the sleigh, I thought that was kind of cool. And you have to admit, him taking on the Necromancer, that was pretty cool. I mean, if anybody could take on Necromancer, Radagast, you've earned your stuff, buddy. Third thing, some people said it had a really disjointed feel, and now I do definitely agree with this. It feels like the director's cut was released directly to theaters. Some of the things I thought could be left out were at the very beginning, when you had that whole thing with Thorin, his whole kind of backstory. I think that actually could have been completely left out. There was a part where Bilbo, he's writing in his book, and then it's like, under a hole, there lived a hobbit. I think it could have picked up right from those lines and wouldn't have had to show any of Thorin's backstory. That could have been completely cut out. There was other parts that were kind of disjointed as well. The rock scene, I know a lot of people didn't like it. It was kind of cool, but I think that could have been left out, put in the director's cut. The part with where Gandalf is talking to I can't think of his name. Mind farts. But where Gandalf is in Rivendell and he's having that meeting with Galadriel and the other White Wizard. I don't know, I can't remember his name. I think that could have been kept out too. It extended things a lot longer than what they needed to be. And that brings me to another point. I do know that Peter Jackson originally said this is going to be, at first it was going to be one movie. And then it was like, okay, well, hopefully they'll make it good. Then it was like, there'll be 2 movies, fanboys rejoice, woo, yeah! 2 movies was good. And then it was like 3 movies. And everyone was then kind of like, maybe he's kind of cashing in for the money. I hope not. It seems stretched at parts. Like, I was fine with the length time of the movie, but certain parts I think for theatrical release could have been done without. Parts that weren't in the actual Hobbit. Something I didn't really like, I'm still not sure about, was the tree scene where all the hobbits, they run and they're getting up in the tree and Gandalf's there and the wargs and the orcs are chasing them down. And then Thorn goes and he has that epic pose. He's just like, he's ready to take on the orc and he runs. And he gets completely beat up, completely pulverized. And then down comes Bilbo and he's like, I will save you. And he runs and does his thing. That is not in The Hobbit. Like, I see why they did it, to kind of drive along the plot, develop character. But I'm not sure. I mean, I'm really undecided about that. I just don't know what to think. One way I liked it, and another way I'd rather they would have stuck with the source material. The other thing is that it had a different feel than Lord of the Rings. Now I know the comparison was obviously going to be made between The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. People might say that's comparing apples to oranges, but not necessarily. It's more like comparing apples to apples. And what I mean by that is one flavor of apple to another flavor of apple. You have the same setting. You have Middle-earth. They're both in there, but they're 2 completely different movies. Now, The Hobbit was definitely lighter in tone, and The Lord of the Rings was more dark. I do prefer The Lord of the Rings feel a little more. The Hobbit just seemed lighter, more fun, and I know The Hobbit was written that way. At times it is definitely dark, but it seemed like a mashup. Like, one of the things that seemed kind of, lighthearted was Under the Goblin Mountain, where the Goblin King comes down on the bridge and he's facing Gandalf and he's gonna stop him. I think it was Gandalf who sliced his stomach, and then the Goblin just looks down and he's like, that would do it. It didn't really seem like it should be there. Now for the good. Things that I definitely really liked about The Hobbit were like standout things right away. The Gollum scene. I know everyone pretty much said that was a standout scene. That could have went on a lot longer. I know I've heard a lot of people said that they wish that scene was longer. That was definitely one of the highlights in the movie, was just watching their interaction. And that brings me to Martin Freeman. He did an awesome job as Bilbo. I can't really see anyone else as Bilbo. You gotta really hand it to Peter Jackson. He finds people that fits the role, and you can't picture anyone else other than that person portraying them. And kudos to him. He did a great job, as well as Ian McKellen as Gandalf. Awesome job. Once again, he just kicks some butt. Thorn was really good as well. Now, some of the other Hobbits, that's one thing I forgot to mention, was the other thing a lot of people didn't like was that they didn't feel as close to the characters because there was just so many of them, and that's true. I mean, it's pretty hard with 13 total characters to really get a sense of connection with each of them, the ones that aren't the main characters. And besides Thorn, there was a couple that got a little bit of screen time, but not a lot. I mean, I didn't even remember all their names. I kept trying to think, okay, who's he? It just seemed like there was too many of them to get a lot of screen time. Now, hopefully that changes with the next 2 movies and they get more screen time. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. The other thing that I just liked about The Hobbit was, well, it's The Hobbit. Just getting back into Middle Earth, it was really nostalgic. When the themes are going from The Lord of the Rings, that constant theme that always plays throughout it, when I got that, I kind of got some goosebumps. All these feelings that you get from watching the previous movies, you're kind of getting in this one. Knowing that there's 2 more movies coming, I am so ready for them. I can't wait to see what Peter Jackson has in stores. Did you guys like it? Did you not like it? Let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, I'll see you later.